This is part 2 of A.06 phase changes and reactions. So make sure you know your phase changes. Melting is from solid to liquid. Boiling or vaporizing mean the same thing. It's liquid to gas at a certain temperature. You have the bubbles when you boil water. Evaporation is different. It's still liquid to gas, but it's at all temperatures when you have a liquid. Evaporation is what happens when you let a cup of water sit on your counter for 2 weeks and there's less water when you get back and look at it 2 weeks later because the water molecules are always moving. Some of the molecules at the top of the liquid escape and go into the air. Condensing is gas to liquid. Freezing is liquid to solid. Make sure you know those phase changes. All right, let's talk about endothermic and exothermic. So therm means what? Heat. And exo means what? Exit or out. So heat out and heat, therm, heat in. So endothermic and exothermic. Endothermic is energy is taken in during a chemical reaction. It can also be during a phase change technically, but usually we talk about it in chemical reactions. And it can feel cold because it's actually taking the heat out of your hand if you touch it. And that's like those cold compresses where you can have them in your car and then you break the little, basically it feels like a bubble. You break the little packet in the middle, you shake it, and then it's cold. That's because it's having a chemical reaction and it's taking the heat out of the air, or if you put it on your injured leg, it's taking the heat out of your leg. Exothermic. Energy is let out during a chemical reaction. Fire! Okay, you can feel the heat coming out. All right, we can also talk about phase changes being exo or endothermic. Now again, when I was talking here, usually we talk about chemical reactions, but it can also happen in some physical reactions, such as phase changes. All right, so going back here, exothermic, the heat is let out. Endothermic, heat is taken in. So let's go here, and which one of these, freezing, melting, condensing, vaporizing, would you say is endothermic, and which one is exothermic? So after a decade of teaching, more than a decade of teaching, I always remember this the same way, all right? I think of the speed of my molecules, and I say endothermic means heat is in. Okay, if you're taking energy in, you just eat an entire bowl of ice cream with caramel and chocolate and sprinkles and cookies, okay? You have energy in. Are you going to be moving faster or slower? You're going to be moving faster, right? You're on a sugar high. You're going to be moving faster. So when do molecules move faster? If I go from solid to liquid or liquid to solid. So it's going to be my melting because I'm getting more energy in. I'm increasing the energy. The molecules are moving faster. So which other one is endothermic? Condensing or vaporizing? And it would be vaporizing because again, I'm increasing my energy. Energy had to be brought in to make these molecules move faster. Okay, now let's go the opposite way. Gases to liquid. Are the molecules moving faster or slower? They're moving slower. I don't have as much energy. The energy was out. I'm slower and slower. As I go to solid, so the freezing would also be exothermic. When you do phase changes, it seems a little backwards than when you think of chemical reactions. So when you think of phase changes, exo, endothermic, you want to talk about the speed of the molecules. When you're talking about chemical reactions, you really want to think, does it feel hot to me? Is there an explosion or fire? Exothermic, the heat is spewing out. Or does it feel cold because it's actually sucking the heat from your hand? And that's why it feels colder. All right, so that's everything we needed to cover for physical and chemical changes. Again, we talked about exo-endothermic. We talked about solids, liquids, and gases and their molecules and their speeds of molecules. We talked about the law of conservation of mass. Mass is neither gained nor lost. So the amount you start with is the same as the amount you end with, even if it's different molecules or substances. Precipitates is that chunky solid that can form. Mixtures is physically combining. You can usually pick them apart with your fingers. You might have to maybe evaporate or do a phase change, but you can easily separate. And you have the differences between physical and chemical changes. All right, go ahead and do the worksheet. Check your own answers on the worksheet, and then go ahead the quiz. As always, anything you are stuck on, please, please, please come see your teacher. Now's the time to get help on this. Thanks. Bye.